Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm coming with a kind of passive-aggressive video today. So if you are from Taiwan or you love Taiwan, don't take it personally. A lot of the topics I'm going to talk about here today are just general complaints. That is one of them. I don't know if you can hear that very well, but it's raining right now, so I hope that doesn't affect the video too much. But today I'm just going to really talk about some things that I think are frustrating about living in Taiwan. I graduated recently, and because of that, because of school, I've been living here for, I want to say around 4 years now, probably a little bit over that, probably a little bit over 4 years when I count everything. I do go back and forth between here and the US every so often, so but anyways, about 4 years, and living here for so long, the honeymoon phase has kind of gone away, and there's some things that I think are pretty frustrating about Taiwan. Some of these things I thought were annoying as soon as I first got here. Some of them have just kind of grown on me. Let's get into it. The first one is kind of a smaller issue for me personally, but it's about Taipei, really. The weather in Taipei is just awful. If you're gonna live in Taiwan and you don't have to live in Taipei for work, I would really recommend living somewhere else for a number of reasons. But the biggest reason is the weather. It just rains so much here. I'll show some statistics here. I think it was last year where we went maybe the first 2 or 3 months of the year with only like 3 or 4 days of no rain. I might be exaggerating, but I'll try to find that news article if I can put it up here. Yeah, the heat is something that I can deal with. I don't mind it so much. I really prefer hot weather anyways. I prefer summer. I don't mind the winter here. It's not too bad, but the weather is just, it's so rainy and humid, and I'm from Ohio, so the humidity actually is pretty relative to Ohio. It doesn't feel that much more humid here. But because Taipei itself is situated in, they say, a basin, like a valley area, there's mountains all around it, the humidity is kind of trapped in here, and the heat is trapped in here as well. There are some days where it's hotter here than it is in central Taiwan just because of the way that the land forms around Taipei. Besides that, it's not too bad. Okay, this is something that, you know, if you've lived in Taiwan for a while, for any long period of time, you've definitely dealt with before, and that's trash. Now, I'm very lucky this year. I actually have someone who throws out my trash for me. I just have to walk my trash upstairs. But normally, if you don't have that kind of luxury, I guess, you have to stand outside on the side of the road and wait at a specific time for the trash truck to come. In the US, you just leave a trash can outside, and you know the trash guy will come and put it in the garbage truck and just haul it off. Here, the garbage truck comes too, but you can't leave your trash on the side of the road. You have to stand there and hand it to them or throw it into the trash truck yourself. And the most frustrating and annoying thing, and I know everyone has heard this sound, is the music that it plays. It plays Fur Elise every time. I think there's one other song that it plays sometimes. Everyone has had that experience in Taiwan of listening to Fur Elise come by, getting a big smell of that junk smell, and just hearing that Fur Elise song for 5 minutes as it's parked out there waiting for people to throw trash away before driving off. If I could change anything about Taiwan, it would be getting rid of the times where you have to wait outside. It would be getting rid of the Fur Elise music. I don't want to hear music all the time, especially when I'm just sitting in my room and it's 8 p.m. and I hear Fur Elise blaring from a truck. By the way, I live on the 5th floor. I can hear it from up here. And I just wish not everybody had to stand outside and wait for the trash truck all the time. One thing nice about trash, though, is that you are forced to separate your recyclables and your trash. I think that's nice. I think the US should do that too. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about is less personal for me, even though I am a student, but it's the Taiwanese education system. So I think the university is okay. I hope to talk more about my university experience in a future video, but I have recently graduated from NTNU, and it wasn't awful. There were some complaints that I had. Really, overall, my educational experience was great. I love my teachers. There are just some things that I think are frustrating about Taiwan as a whole and Taiwanese education style. The first thing is the hours, and this isn't so much for university, but more for elementary school, middle school, and high school. I just feel so bad for the students here. They spend 10, 11, 12 hours, sometimes even more in schools. And it's not just their public school that they go to, but a lot of them will go to we call them bushiban or cram school after school. I used to actually teach in a cram school. If you want to hear more about that, I'll probably be talking about it in a future video, so subscribe for more. But the frustrating thing about that is you're just watching these children whose lives are being sucked away from them because of education. And I don't think it's even worth it, because you would expect that since these students are in school for a third of the time more than Western students, that they would be better educated, but that's not always the case. At least from my experience talking to these children, it doesn't feel like it is. And granted, this isn't for every child. Not every parent puts their kid through this, but it feels like it's become the norm here. And if you walk through the city, you'll see cram schools all over. They're on every street. They have English and math and history and social studies. They have every subject that you can think of. They also have music and other like extracurricular cram schools too. And I'm not saying that like children in the U.S. aren't doing this, but it's not to the same extent that they are in Taiwan. Maybe like for me, for example, when I was in the U.S., I had piano lessons for a year or drum lessons, and it was once a week. Or I was in basketball in middle school, and it was for like 3 months of the year. And then for the other time, I would be free to do whatever I want. And also, if at basketball, I'm getting healthy, I'm getting exercise, I'm not just like sitting there all the time. The other frustrating thing about like my school was the way that the hours for classes are set up. One thing I really liked about the U.S. when I was in OSU, the way my class hours were set up was I would have like more homework, but I would also see the same teachers more often throughout the week. So in the U.S., the norm probably for me was signing up for, I don't know, 5 or 6 classes. Is that right? That sounds right. And I would have those classes twice or 3 times a week. So I would be at school every day, but the hours were shorter per class, and I would see them more throughout the week. Here in Taiwan, most of my classes I would just have once a week, and it could be 8, 9, or even 10 classes depending on which year in school you are. And each class period was 2 hours long. So I would be sitting in the same class for 2 hours, and it's kind of exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. There is a break, but like it's exhausting. And seeing a teacher once a week isn't that bad if your teacher remembers to upload schedules and when quizzes are happening or when tests are happening or when homework is due. But the teachers that I had at NTNU never did that. We had Moodle, and sometimes if I had classes with a lot of students, they would use the internet more to communicate with the students. But most of my classes, like most of my teachers, would not use Moodle to upload quiz and test times or upload when homework was supposed to be due. There would just be a slot for you to upload your homework, and it would just like be there. This also probably isn't so bad for students who are Taiwanese, who can communicate with their teachers. But like my first year, I would have a lot of homework, because your first year you have a ton of classes, and I could barely speak Chinese. So I was just hearing a teacher say, oh, this homework's due, this test is happening, or whatever next week, and it would just happen at the end of class. Like it wasn't like a formal announcement that something was happening. And I don't know, it was just kind of awkward for me transitioning to that. Okay, the fourth thing I want to talk about is Taiwanese websites. We're going to look at my school's website right here. I'm going to put it up as an example. You can see here on the school's website in Chinese, there is a section that says 学生. I'll circle it here. And that just means student. And when I transfer over to the English website, there is no student tab. And the reason for that is that there are so many websites here in Taiwan that are claiming to be bilingual. They have a Chinese page and English page, but there's just like a massive amount of information that's just not there. And for some reason, it always seems to be the really important websites, like the immigration website or your school website or like government websites, anything that you really need to do. Of course, like the Taiwanese companies that are trying to sell you stuff will have the perfect English website for you to look at and buy things from. But it just seems like anytime I really need English, it's just not there. Now I can speak Chinese now, so it's not a big deal, but a lot of the things that you need, like the immigration website or maybe the DMV, those government agencies, those are things that you need as soon as you get here, whether you can speak Chinese or not. If you plan on living here, those are websites that you're gonna be on, and there's just so much information missing from the English pages. I just think it's weird coming from a country that has so many design schools, So many schools that are moving on towards being bilingual and having English classes, and from a country that teaches English at such a young age, that there's just so much missing. Okay, the last thing that I'm gonna talk about, and this is the most personal thing for me, the thing that frustrates me the most about living in Taipei, and I don't know if this is everywhere in Taiwan. I've spent like 95% of my time in Taiwan living in Taipei, so this is just really from me. But it's that Taiwanese people, for the most part, I'm making a huge generalization here, but anyways, Taiwanese people cannot walk. They don't know how to walk, okay? There are rules, there are cultural rules that we need to follow as a people in regards to walking. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Taiwanese people can't walk, they don't know how to walk. Well, okay, the first thing is that people will randomly stop in the middle of the sidewalk for no reason. Now usually it's to look at their phone. Sometimes it's to look at a store, you know, on the side of the road. But they always stop in the middle of the sidewalk. Like, there are people around you, or people even behind you, you know, walking. If you just stop all of a sudden, somebody's either going to run into you, or going to have to walk around you. And it's just annoying for everybody. It's a huge inconvenience. If you need to look at something, or take a phone call, or respond to a text message, please step off to the side. Stand on the right side of the road. You know, stand where people aren't going to be walking. Please. This is something else that's frustrating. Okay, the sidewalks are not that wide in Taiwan. Now, they do have like covered sidewalks and outdoor sidewalks in some areas, or in places where there's a lot of people. However, it's not everywhere. If the sidewalk is small, please do not walk in a line of 3 or 4 people and take up the whole sidewalk. I do not want to walk on the road, okay? Your 2 friends should stand behind your other 2 friends, okay? We need to walk in pairs of 2 or less. 1 or 2 people at a time, that's it. The sidewalks are not that wide here. I don't want to be walking on the road. Especially when a lot of times you can't walk on the road because there's motorcycles parked everywhere. Okay, and another thing, this is back to point 1, is because of the weather, because it rains so much in Taiwan, most people will want to stand under the covered sidewalks. So the sidewalk space basically gets halved. And now people who already normally don't know how to walk are even more confused. They're standing outside, they're standing on the edge of the sidewalk, preparing their umbrellas, trying to get out. It just makes it even worse when it's raining. Okay, last thing in regards to walk. This is my last complaint about Taiwan. I'm sorry, Taiwanese people. Don't take this personally. This is just my observations as a foreigner living here. The last thing I want to talk about is getting on and off buses, elevators, the MRT, trains, etc., etc. Please let people who need to get off before people who need to get on, okay? Getting off before you get on, okay? It's like a cup of water. If you have a cup of water that's full, you can't fill it anymore. You need to pour out the water before, or drink the water before you can fill it with more water. It's the same principle, okay? But instead this time it's a vehicle. We have too many people. Before we can fill it with more people, we need people to get off, okay? It's the same thing. Now, most of the time, besides the phone people, and I'm not trying to be personal again, but this is most of the time old people doing this. Most of these issues are with older people, usually. I'm not trying to be ageist here, but that's usually how it is. The phone thing is usually young people who just don't know how to walk, but anyways. Try to be aware of your surroundings. If you're here, or if you're in a big city anywhere, if you're in a place with a lot of people. This is a very densely populated city, so, you know, just be aware. I will make up for this video, people of Taiwan. I will post a video about the things that I do like about Taiwan sometime, eventually. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see any of the videos, ideas that I previously mentioned, please subscribe. Hopefully those are coming up soon. I hope to see you again soon for my Korea vlog. That'll be happening in a few weeks. And yeah, that's all. Have a good one.